Good evening, I'm Hugh Downs.
And I'm Barbara Walters, and this is 2020.
From ABC News, around the world and into your home, the stories that touch your life with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters. This is 2020. Tonight, a critical report for every family in America. You won't believe what we found out about smoke detectors. Could your safety depend on the type you choose?
It didn't go off at all, you know. It was just the grace of God that saved us.
We'll tell you which one works best against both smoke and flames.
For maximum protection, that is the unit that you should put in.
But just try to find one. In store after store, we have little luck. Would the smoke detector you have give you time to escape? Arnold Diaz with a wake-up call for you and your family. Smoke detectors, sounding the alarm.
We begin with an important report that everybody should see. It involves the safety of the things you treasure most, your family and your home. Now, no doubt you have at least one smoke detector in your home. Everybody should. But did you know there are two different kinds of smoke detector, and each is valuable. But for maximum protection, you need both.
Well, if you're surprised by that information, so are we. How do smoke detectors differ? Will the money you save on a cheaper model cost you a lot more in the end? Arnold Diaz has done his homework again, and before another night goes by, consider the best way to protect your family.
While America has one of the highest fire death rates in the industrialized world, smoke detectors have helped cut that rate dramatically.
8:30 a.m. Our first alert smoke detectors saved our lives and the lives of our children.
More than 90% of all homes now have a smoke detector. They cut in half your chance of dying in a fire.
I was upstairs asleep and I heard the alarm.
The smoke alarm was going off, smoke upstairs.
But our investigation finds, in some cases, smoke detectors may be providing a false sense of security.
It didn't go off at all, you know. It was just the grace of God that saved us.
I automatically assumed that if you got a smoke detector, the smoke detector will go off. It just, just didn't go off.
I think I was just appalled that it didn't work.
These people, like most, relied on their smoke detectors to sound a timely alarm, just as the ads suggest.
This house was destroyed by fire in 15 minutes.
The message is the amount of escape time is critical.
Because every minute counts.
But a 2020 investigation finds that the most common type of smoke detector being sold today, the type you probably have, is not designed to give you the maximum time to escape from many house fires, smoldering fires that produce lots of smoke before bursting into flames.
What kills people more commonly in fires, the smoke or the flame?
Smoke, absolutely.
Fire Chief Bill Kennedy of College Station, Texas, uses a miniature house with artificial smoke to demonstrate to children how to escape a smoky room during a fire.
A typical house fire occurs at night after people have gone to sleep.
It can be a smoldering fire that may fill a room with smoke long before you'll see flames.
But the smoke may be so thick you can barely see the hand in front of your face, and still, the type of detector that most people have in their homes might not sound the alarm.
While it may not be life-threatening, the smoke can nevertheless be quite upsetting.
The room was blue with smoke, and I couldn't see except to see the smoke, so I knew the house was burning.
Barbara Ware says her detector failed to alarm during a smoldering fire in her Texas home.
Had you ever heard of the difference between an ionization detector and a photoelectric detector?
No, and I still don't know the difference. We go to the store, we buy a smoke detector, we want one that works. We expect them to work on all smoke.
There are two distinct types of smoke detectors. Most people have the ionization type. Very few have the photoelectric. They look similar, but sense smoke differently.
We're running.
In some tests of slow smoldering fires started by a cigarette or an electrical short, the common ionization detector can take twice as long to react as the photoelectric type. In Consumer Reports tests, Jeffrey Martin found the ionization detectors do not work best in smoke-filled fires.
We were quite startled to see how smoky the room got before the ionization detectors would make an alarm.
Clock is started, we have ignition, it's 90
But on the other hand, tests of burning paper show the ionization type reacts quicker than the photoelectric to flames. The answer, says Consumer Reports, is for people to install both. The common ionization type, best for detecting flaming fires, costing around $10. And the photoelectric, superior at sensing slow smoldering fires. It costs about $20 and is in short supply.
If you have a choice of having two types of detectors and you have only one, it's really in a way like locking your front door and leaving the back door open.
These people, like most, had no idea there was a difference in smoke detectors until they say their ionization type detectors didn't respond to smoke and their homes were damaged.
How bad was that smoke and fire at the time?
Real bad. It was real thick.
That smoke was thick. And that detector still wasn't going off?
We lost everything that we had.
All our memories, it's all gone. It's all burned up.
Last year, a fire destroyed Billy and Wanda Bogle's Louisiana home. They say the detector didn't go off until firemen knocked it to the floor.
There's millions of people in the country that got these things hanging in their houses, thinking that they're going to work, and possibly won't.
Smoldering fires do
Kelly Halligan was told by the manufacturer the smoldering smoke didn't rise to her detector. They wrote, by the time sufficient quantities of smoke finally reach a ceiling-mounted detector, the entire room may be filled with smoke. She doesn't believe that explanation.
There's no doubt whatsoever there was smoke to that smoke detector, but it did not react.
The detectors they're complaining about were manufactured by BRK Brands and its predecessor. The company makes First Alert, Family Guard, and BRK, which together account for 80% of all smoke detectors sold. First Alert's Senior Vice President Gary Lederer says the detectors in question would have gone off had the fires been serious enough.
The smoke level, it may appear smoky in the room, but it isn't a life-threatening condition yet.
Oh.
And it would go off before it became a life-threatening condition.
The basic ionization type detector, he says, meets all safety standards and does provide effective early response, even in smoldering fires.
An ionization detector is a perfectly adequate detector. It's the least expensive for us, a manufacturer, to offer to a consumer. That protection is adequate to get them out of the building and to save their lives.
Texas A&M engineering professor Don Russell disagrees. As an expert in smoke detectors, he's testified against the industry. He believes the basic ionization type detector is not always adequate.
While they detect some fires very well, and while they may even detect most fires that occur in a home on some time frame, they will not detect certain types of common fires in a home in a timely fashion. Certainly not as well as we know the photoelectric detectors will, those same types of fires.
Even First Alert concedes the ionization detectors, the type almost everyone has in their home, are not the fastest at detecting smoldering fires.
The photoelectric will sound an alarm sooner than an ionization, but both will sound an alarm in sufficient time to allow you to evacuate the building.
How much sooner would the photoelectric sound the alarm in a slow, smoldering smoke fire?
15 minutes prior to the ionization detector.
Well, I want that extra 15 minutes to go wake up other members of my family, to go make sure everybody's safe, to herd them outside.
We have the answer for you. We have a combination unit that has both detection principles in one unit.
Clearly, the best smoke detector made is the double system, which contains both an ionization and photoelectric sensor. It sells for about $30. First Alert calls it our top-of-the-line, superior at detecting fast-flaming fires, as well as slow smoldering fires.
I think for maximum protection, that is the unit that you should put in.
But we went to 14 stores and learned it's difficult to find the dual smoke detectors or even just a photoelectric to go along with the ionization.
Now, in this store, they had 12 different varieties of smoke detectors, 11 of them ionization. There was one photoelectric, no duals.
In each store, we bought what was offered and ended up with 52 ionization detectors, 4 photoelectric, and only 1 dual system. And it was 12 years old, past its shelf life. Not much choice. But the industry says stores are just responding to consumers' demands.
They need to provide product that consumers want to buy. Consumers want to buy the lower-priced detectors, which tend to be the ionization detectors.
But many consumers told us they bought the cheap detectors because they didn't know there was a difference.
Do you think you'd be willing to spend $25 or $30 for a detector that could pick up both smoke and flame quickly?
Yeah. I got a house that's worth a heck of a lot more than that, so I certainly think it's worth it.
That's the safety of my family, sure.
There shouldn't be a $5 model and a $25 model. There should be a model that works.
The problem is the industry hasn't given consumers the information necessary to make an educated choice, says Professor Russell.
If the average person walks into a store and sees a $5 or $6 detector on the shelf next to a $30 detector, and they don't know the difference, they just opt to buy the cheap detector.
So we need to be better educated.
Or the industry needs to protect you by not offering a detector that is inferior to what we can do with technology today.
Many consumers can't even tell what they're buying. It doesn't say ionization anywhere on the box of the best-selling detector. You'd have to buy it and look inside to find what type it is. Some smaller manufacturers do label the boxes and provide information explaining the differences of the 2 types, but not First Alert, the industry giant.
Do you attempt to try to explain the difference between photoelectric detectors, ionization detectors, dual detectors?
No, we don't. All detectors are very adequate life safety devices. I think if we try to educate the consumer to that degree, we're going to confuse them.
Critics say First Alert is happy to have consumers keep buying the cheaper ionization type because it can sell more detectors that way.
That's where they make most of their money, and they're just going to keep doing the same thing until something compels them to change.
But the company says if the more expensive double system became the standard detector, it would price some people out of the market.
Our concern is that people who might not otherwise be able to afford a detector can buy one if there's a low-cost ion available to them.
Clearly, any smoke detector is better than none. And if you can't find or can't afford a double system or a photoelectric to go along with your ionization, there are things you can do to make sure the detector you have will work. First, test your detector frequently. The industry recommends once a week, especially since a government sampling estimated as many as 1.5 million detectors may have component problems that could cause them to fail. And vacuum the detector sensing chamber once a year because it can accumulate dust and bugs. At the same time, change the batteries. But don't take the batteries out during false alarms. That's a big reason 1 in 4 smoke detectors doesn't work. For 10 years, manufacturers have had a solution available, a silencing button. Experts recommend it, but it's still not found on most detectors. So the government wants to make it mandatory. And how many smoke detectors should you have?
If your smoke detector is at one end of the house and the fire starts at the other, will your family get out?
It happens so fast.
Experts agree the more detectors, the better.
A smoke detector on every floor in every bedroom doubles your chances of surviving.
Smoke detectors do save lives, and the basic detectors most people have in their homes are good. But could they be even better?
If we started from scratch today, we can build a detector that is dramatically better than the one that is generally sold on the market. And we should be doing that.
Arnold, how do you know what kind of detector you have?
Well, if you don't know, it's safe to assume that it's ionization. More than 90% are. And they're good. Again, they're good. You don't need to take them down. But you should supplement them if you want maximum protection with a photoelectric or a dual system. And again, don't take those batteries out during false alarms. It's a major problem.
Why wouldn't a store want to market a top-of-the-line detector, dual? I think there'd be a market for that.
You would think so. They say they have them on the shelves occasionally and people don't buy them, but that's because people don't know about them. They haven't been educated. The industry says people would be confused. I think they underestimate the consumer. Maybe we'll be starting a groundswell of demand and they'll get them in the stores.
Certainly everybody's interested in the safety of their family and their homes.
I believe so.
Good service. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Art.